Good afternoon, everyone. It's Mpilo. If you don't know who Mpilo is, it's me. Okay, so welcome back. I just need to run you guys through a few house rules. One, food and drink are not allowed in the chamber. So if you have your juice, I know you're not finished and you still want to drink it, but please hold on for now. May you please put that juice bottle in your bag. If you have water, you are allowed to drink water, but there's a precaution. If you drink your water, the chairs slide. Slide back and drink your water. Two, this was a request from Coach Tammy. May we please all calm down. Falling asleep is not allowed. Once more, may we please maintain composure and decorum. Thank you.
Okay, welcome back to all of you. Before we begin the unmoderated caucus session, I'd just like to let you guys know that I would prefer that I'd like to let you honorable members know that the previous session there wasn't that much engagement, especially from the time you're taking in between deciding when you want to respond to something. Please can we not have that kind of situation because we are running on time. But more than that, can you honorable members please try to be as audible as possible, especially when you're speaking into mics, because the media can't hear you and people from upstairs won't be able to hear you, and the people you are engaging with won't be able to hear you, so please. Now we're moving into the unmoderated caucus session. Are there any countries that have formulated any documents that they would like to present regarding any issues that they found? Any documents at all? France, you noted.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. Well, we from France, we would like to question the integrity of BRICS. We have realized that there are so many countries that are in the BRICS, of course, but then some countries are not benefiting anything from BRICS. Other countries are eating from other countries, while other countries are not eating anything from BRICS. So we want to question the integrity of BRICS. Thank you.
United Kingdom, you noted.
The United Kingdom would like to emphasize that BRICS is voluntary, right? We have not intentionally excluded anyone. If anyone is willing to join BRICS, then they are open to that. It is just according to the policy of the country, just to clarify. Thank you.
South Africa, you're noted.
Chair, we think it's incredibly offensive that France can levy such a huge claim towards us without any proof. Notice, in her accusation, there's no names, there's no cause. All we know is that somewhere, someone is starving. We don't think you can blame 4 nations trying to make sure the world is a more fair place for all the inequality of the world. Thank you.
Mexico, you're noted.
All right. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. my question is very direct to United States. So we have a very huge distrust to the exclusive policies you create, and the result in harsh consequences in us, Mexico. So what guarantee can we get that the policies you set are advantageous for all of your alliances, but we, your closest neighbors, are suffering? Thank you.
Saudi Arabia, you're noted.
Saudi Arabia would like to second France in terms of the challenging BRICS. I would like to second France by emphasizing the inconsistency among the members of BRICS, because BRICS often portrays itself as anti-Western and united, but China and India compete directly. Russia's actions destabilize energy markets. Brazil shifts policy with elections. South Africa has an unstable government. BRICS claims to be a cohesive bloc, but internal contradictions weaken your collective proposals. How can BRICS demand a unified global stance when your members themselves disagree on energy, trade, and climate policy?
For the sake of a BRICS response, South Africa.
We need to understand that BRICS is a relatively young organization. Being only 16 years old, it's pretty understandable that the policies are not developed to where they need to be. But countries like Russia and China have made it abundantly clear that they are willing to work with more developing nations like India and South Africa to make sure that climate standards are held and to make sure that these countries get the development they deserve. And furthermore, we think it's quite ironic for Saudi Arabia to second France's questioning of BRICS when they themselves, being part of the United Arab Emirates, form part of BRICS.
China noted.
So I just wanted to question some of the countries that came to me during the negotiation period. A lot of you guys had a lot of, I don't want to say negative stuff, but things that weren't in South Africa's favor. And the reason you guys said that was because supporting a more developed country would benefit us more. And I think that kind of shows the type of relationship that these developed countries are looking for. We are trying to help the developing countries, We are trying to help the developing countries because the margin of difference will be much greater in helping a developing country than to help an already developed country. Thank you.
African Union.
I'd like to bring two responses to South Africa's question about, the African Union's thing. With the main theme of this summit itself being solidarity, we don't necessarily see international funding and collaboration as an issue. We are committed to repaying all of our debts and maintaining fruitful relations with all of our funders, but also it's important to consider the historical context that Africa as a continent faces. We're a continent that has faced continuous exploitation through colonialism, and so in order to move from that place of dependence, that external funding is something that we do inherently require, in order to move from dependence to independence.
France noted.
Thank you so much, Chair. And to give clarity to South Africa, firstly, when we're saying that other countries eat while other countries do not eat, we are emphasizing countries such as India, where they're facing floods, where countries such as China could do something about it, but they're not doing anything about it. And the truth be told is that South Africa has an unstable economy. So what is actually South Africa? Seem to be taking a lot from these other countries, but they are taking absolutely nothing for you. And also, looking at the poverty rate that is in South Africa and inequality, do you really think that's best? That is what the country needs. Thank you.
For the sake of a South African response, I think it's fairly ironic that France is pointing fingers right now when the stability you claim to talk about comes directly from West
Germany, I would like to point out the favoritism that is within this room. There are so many problems that have been stated, but then none of them have been addressed seriously open, like addressed directly. And then other countries have not been given the opportunity to respond. Yet South Africa has been given multiple opportunities to respond to the matters that they have brought to them. We also noticed that there is no productivity in this meeting. Is that, yes, South Africa, we understand you are hosting, but we came to your country to try and find a solution to this economic situation that all of us are in. But there has not been a productive statement on where are we heading. You have not addressed anyone saying, yes, okay, African Union, would you like to respond to what the European Union has said to you? Nothing has been directed to anyone. So we are confused. Even when questions are asked, the president of South Africa has not addressed. Even when the meeting had started, I had asked, what elections are we supposed to be electing on? Never responded on to me. So that was the question we wanted. Nothing was responded to.
I'm going to engage with that question in a very specific way. At the beginning of this session, everyone was given a period of time to respond and give the answers they had for audience and conversations they had outside of the chamber. That period was meant to be around 30 minutes. You had 45. As Germany, you aren't one of the countries that had given one of those responses. I find it fairly ironic that you are pointing to South Africa, who has been engaged in questions, yet I've had very few answers to the question posed to you as a country, as a chair of this joint debate. I understand that some of you may be frustrated at the fact that you don't get an hour to speak, but it was said on the program you each get 3 minutes to give an opening statement, and then responses should range from 1 minute. If you have a problem with that, I suggest you don't speak. United Kingdom, you're noted.
Greetings. As the United Kingdom would firstly like to second China on the matter that they have stated about helping develop undeveloped countries, as we have also exampled this in our training scheme initiative, where we focus on global mobility for students and apprentices, not just within Europe, and where we focus on global mobility for students and apprentices, not just within Europe, again, prioritizing underrepresented and disadvantaged students, which includes vocational and technical educational placement. And we would also like to correlate with South Africa here, as they have a very big youth, and their youth, we are aware that they are experiencing a very big statistic when it comes to youth unemployment rate, because we have apprentices and a lot of job opportunities where we can help employ their youth, and therefore we can form alliances. And also we believe that it is very ironic for France to be making statements about countries that are eating from other countries while other countries are not, while they still take tax from countries that they have previously colonized, which they should be the ones who are helping those countries develop. Thank you.
Indonesia, you noted.
Okay, this question is posed to the European Union. Is the Europeans' commitment to global partnership real, or just a polite mask for economic control over developing nations?
France, you noted.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Firstly, Honorable Speaker, we are respectively elected heads of state of different countries. We demand to be respected. That is the first one. If what we're saying is not fair, it means that we have all seen that it is really not fair. So for you to tell us to keep quiet, we are embracing you with our presence while we're here. Not a favor, it's not a favor. And another thing that I would want to discuss is that I haven't gotten a response from South Africa about how really are they planning to bring up all that they have promised up in terms of development while they have firstly an imbalanced market system? How are we supposed to trust them even in trading? Because they allow what China is doing with the violation of the patent law. Because you would see that some of our products, Louis Vuitton, is being sold at $50 here, while we sell them for thousands of rands, and or rather, dollars. So we would like to know how really are they supposed to keep up with their promises? And please, Speaker, please address us with respect. We are all presidents here. Thank you.
I've afforded every single country as much respect as possible. The reason why I suggested that you don't speak of that particular matter is because you have all received the brief document that told you how long you have for opening statements and responses. That is something out of my control. It's not something I can address. It's not a matter of me disrespecting you as countries. It's a matter of procedure. If South Africa would like to respond. South Africa, you're noted.
Since France insists, let's tell you the policy that's going to develop the entire world. Firstly, South Africa is going to use vocational training, some of the best in the world, to develop skills that are in need, firstly in Africa. That looks like particularly things like coding, high definition skills that are in need that other countries aren't able to produce at the same rate. Loaning South Africans out so they're able to fulfill the need in other countries. Notice then, this gets rid of employment issues, but secondly, it fulfills civic skills. France doesn't offer any solutions, but empty threats. We do not invite people to speak badly about us and then offer no solutions in return.
Saudi Arabia, you're noted.
Thank you, Honorable Member, for finally noting me. I would like to say to South Africa that, yes, we are part of the BRICS, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't question the South African government ability to be able to participate with us. Yes, we are part of the BRICS, but we should also consider our citizens of Saudi Arabia, and that the fact is the government of South Africa is unstable. And yes, we second France, saying that the government of South Africa is unstable, and therefore we should consider our citizens despite being the members of BRICS. We are the members of BRICS, and therefore we need to question the South African government's ability to lead so that they can internally fix it, and therefore BRICS can be successful. Thank you, Chairperson.
Saudi Arabia, I would just like to point out that you are representing your own country, so it's unprocedural to say that on behalf of South Africa. I don't think that's something that was discussed with South Africa themselves. Russia, you're noted.
I would like to pose a question to France on why them as a country that actually has strong laws against discrimination was actually has laws that actually suppress Muslim girls and women from expressing themselves when it comes to sports and at school. Please elaborate more on that.
European Union, you're noted.
I respond to the idea that Europe is simply masking developments as a way to look good on the global stage. However, we've moved away from donor-recipient thinking. Instead of giving Africa money, we've started investing in their youth's futures, specifically in Erasmus+, exchange programs that offer young Africans the opportunity to study in Europe. Not only does this give them the skills to make money, it changes the way Africa thinks. From thinking like, oh, if I ask this, I'll get that. From if I work hard, I'll make money like this. We aren't benefiting ourselves, we're simply helping other developing nations to reach their full potential. Thank you.
China, you're noted.
So I just wanted a little bit of clarity on France's comment on the Louis Vuitton bags, because I'm not too sure if it was meant to be an insult to me or the USA, because with us, we make the bags, and we are truthful about what it takes to make the bags. And then you have USA that is selling it for thousands and thousands times more. So I'd just like a little bit of clarity on what was meant by that comment. Thank you.
United States, you're noted.
Thank you, Chair, for that. I don't have much to say. I'd just like to answer Mexico. Mexico, I think your question was a bit too vague when you were asking me what policies would not be, what's the word I'm looking for? Would not be benefiting to you and might not benefit my allies, my other allies. What policies specifically are you referring to? And why are you shying away from specifically naming these policies? Thank you, Speaker.
France, you're noted.
Thank you for the opportunity, Chair. I would like to answer two questions. The first one being the one of oppression. Each and every country has laws. We are not oppressing anyone. We are just respecting our cultures. To answer South Africa with the fact that we are still collecting tax from the colonized countries. This was an agreement. No one was forced. It was an agreement. So when you say we are still collecting forced, traditionally, we are not, because we never forced them. They agreed that we can take the tax for a certain agreement, not knowing if you want to know the businesses we were discussing. Thank you.
African Union, you're noted.
Chair, we think it's unfair that France and Germany come here and blame developing countries like South Africa for their incompetencies when they themselves don't necessarily support these developing countries with any reforms. Never mind the fact that these countries, such as Germany and France, have failed in reform, for example, with their unfair trade systems and how their developmental reform has failed. We think checks and balances need to be set before they can attack other countries.
European Union, you're noted.
I'd like to express my gratitude to the following countries. In doing so, Indonesia, you can take note if this is a mask or if this is real collaboration. This is something that happened during the caucus. Brazil, Canada, and South Africa has sworn allegiance with environmental policies with the EU. I'd also like to open the floor to others willing to join us if you want to engage on the environment question that we already asked. Germany, this includes you, given the fact that instead of criticizing our host, you could actually engage if you want something to talk about with the environment question that we asked. The second thing is also the AU has vowed youth employment with us, which is something that we're incredibly grateful for. We'd like to point out the conflict with the Turkey currently and whether they'd like to unfreeze their membership with the EU, if that's something that they value.
Mexico, you're noted.
Thank you, Honorable. On answering the question that was imposed by the European Union regarding the environment. So Mexico is the part of the international reducing emissions from deforestation and degrading, which aim to reduce emissions and improve forestry and promote sustainable rural development. Thank you.
France, you noted.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, firstly, I would like to ask, why is it that when a question is directed to South Africa, then you're giving them an opportunity to speak, but then when a question is directed to other countries, they're not given an opportunity to speak? You have to recognize other countries before them. That is my first point of order. And another one is that Russia, you made a comment about France. We did not quite hear what you said. You were not audible enough. And then I had the speaker from the honorable members from the United Nations, I hope I'm not wrong. They mentioned that instead of judging developing countries such as South Africa, we should actually help. Germany and France should actually help Firstly, Germany has brought German cars into South Africa and they have increased the rate of employment in South Africa. And let us talk about how France has brought designer goods into South Africa, which has also created employment in South Africa. So we are actually helping out. Now I'm coming up back again to question the integrity of BRICS. What has BRICS been doing? And the honorable member from France did mention that we're saying they make bags. I did not say bags. Firstly, I said designers, not bags. Yes, China is commonly known as replicators of original stuff to non-original stuff, and that is a fact. And Chairperson, you're out of order. Thank you.
I'd like to respond to you, honorable member. To answer your first question with a question, please let me know a country that hasn't gotten a chance to speak in this debate, and then I'll be able to entertain the rest of what you're saying. Because I think it's pretty baseless that you are able to accuse me of such, but you can't point to at least one country that hasn't gotten a chance to speak. I said it multiple times now. Not everyone is going to get a chance to speak multiple times. Brazil, you're noted.
Thank you, Chair. I heard the European Union make a comment about Brazil and us swearing some sort of, I don't know, agreement. I'd like to hear what that actually was so I can properly respond to that. Thank you.
United Kingdom, you're noted.
I would like to just address the chair in matters of explaining what is being said by the council right now. As much as I do not agree with the approach of manner in how they are addressing you, I have to say that what they are saying is completely true. I had written a note to you earlier on, but I chose not to send it because I thought it would change. Saudi Arabia had their plaque up for quite some time, but they directed a question, France directed a question to South Africa, but you chose to ignore Saudi Arabia and answer South Africa just because they had their plaque up after.
My ignoring of countries is not intentional. There are multiple nations here. Saudi Arabia, if you'd still like to ask a question, you may.
You may proceed, Honorable Member. We will continue engaging the debate in later stage. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, ironic. Russia.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and to all members of the Honorable Summit, protocols observed. Now, we would like to issue out a point of order to Saudi Arabia, just to align to them that if you had a problem with BRICS, you shouldn't have entered at the first place. And for you to come and enter, then question the integrity after, shows the incompetence of your leadership. To continue, France, now if you're targeting developing countries who want to develop other African, we can gain control of what is naturally ours. You're actually disadvantaging people who are not getting that much privilege because of you have designer fashion and all of that. So I am saying to the countries here of the G20 that let us partner with each other so that we can trade skills. Now in Russia, we're proposing that you trade STEM expertise and education. In return, we have the lowest unemployment rate, which is standing at 2.3. And in exchange of that, you offer the STEM education to us, and while decreasing unemployment in your country, and meanwhile in our country, we are gaining momentum in terms of the STEM development and increasing our employment rates and our skills development. Thank you.
For the sake of anyone else who would like to make scathing remarks about countries that are trying to contribute to this debate, Italy is a country that hasn't gotten much of an opportunity to respond. Italy, you are noted.
Thank you, President. So, delegates, I just urge you that we remember what we came here for today. And I would just like to clarify Italy's stance and emphasize what we hope to do today. There is a huge mismatch between skills and careers, and we aim to reform the school curriculum by making sure that learners gain soft skills, internships, and apprenticeships same thing. We are willing to challenge this issue, but only under the condition that our PCTO model is implemented and integrated in schools. Thank you.
I think Italy does a good job at trying to turn this debate back to what it was intentionally about, not about the manufacturing processes of different countries regarding bags. But South Africa, you're noted.
Look, the reason the G20 exists today is because we all understand that development does not happen in a vacuum, nor does it happen in isolation. We need to be willing to work together to form solutions. That being said, South Africa needs to affirm its position as a proud BRICS nation and address France when it says that no country is, or that one country is eating. We need to understand that China is India and South Africa's biggest trade partner. South Africa is one of China and Russia's biggest trade partner. In that light, then, we are not here to fight with France. We are not here to fight with any other country. We're here to find solutions. So we don't think France can rely on the Paris Agreement, which South Africa signed, by the way, for much longer. I think France has the money and the ability to help African nations change, and we think that they need to be using that ability instead of just trying to snipe other countries down.
Thank you, South Africa. Germany, you're noted.
I would like to begin on the fact that most of the African countries, I feel like because of the past injustices, now you're blaming everything that we are trying to change in the future now, as we are ironic if we're saying about Africa needs to change in certain aspects. We came here trying to introduce a vocational program that can outreach, that can help developing nations into learning skills for Industry 4.0, where they can be taught AI, technology, new technology. But then we felt like we are being attacked on our past and how like it happened. But we are trying to make a reform. We are trying to make collaboration with the different nations and the different countries. We introduced our vocation, like we also did introduce our vocational training, but instead they asked a question about hydrogen. They never asked about the thing we introduced. Instead they went to something else that you didn't respond to the thing that we were speaking on about. Instead you went on to something else. Thank you.
Mexico, you're noted. France, you're noted.
Bonjour. So I would like to dedicate this question to Russia. How do they aim to implement what they are saying, because they have a mismatch between education and labor? Many university programs are not aligned with current job market needs, leading to graduates who are overqualified or trained in outdated fields. And also, employees increasingly value work experience over degrees, but universities often lack strong internships and co-op programs. Masiku.
Russia, you're noted.
Honorable Chair, can we come back after we're just elaborating on how to properly respond to them without any inappropriacy?
Saudi Arabia, you're noted.
Afternoon, honorable members. So Canada spoke about building an inclusive digital economy, but considering the existing digital divide between urban and rural privilege and less privileged, how does Canada plan to ensure that this digital transformation doesn't further strain economic and social inequalities? Thank you.
African Union, you're noted.
As the African Union, I think it's quite important that we also engage in the discussion of the developing countries and so forth. We think that we commend South Africa's leadership in championing unity, respect, and solidarity during its G20 presidency. We think and know that the whole purpose of this G20 is to bring solidarity and international relations and to improve the digital landscape and education system. So we think that may we please open the caucus to having more discussions on climate change, because I think that's something that we are missing, and that is a side note that we need to actually engage, because a lot of countries in the global sphere have been neglecting things such as global warming, things such as pollution. So maybe please engage on that matter through you, Honorable Chair.
I will do that as soon as possible. United Kingdom.
Can we just ask for further elaboration from Italy for the PCPO program? Thank you.
Indonesia, you're noted.
Greetings to the House at large again. Firstly, I would actually like to address France and Germany. Both of you, together with the whole of the Europeans, you are in no position whatsoever to be talking about the morality of BRICS, number one. Number two, France, if you don't want China producing your designers, you trademark them. It's as simple as that. Number three, you are deriving the conversation from this. We are here to speak about development. You are wanting to hold one another accountable. We have a court for that. You do that there, not here. Number four, I wanted to address the whole thing of a gap between the job market and the education. That is exactly why we are here. We need to unite in this so that we can implement more vocational models so that we can close that gap. Honorable members, honestly, I feel like we are deriving from everything. We shouldn't be speaking about this. If you guys have issues, if you as respective countries have issues with one another, please write formation letters or something and go to court, not here. Thank you.
Brazil, you're noted.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I would like to agree with what Indonesia has just said, that France is not in the position to be judging, considering they are not a part of BRICS, number one. Secondly, being that I believe that every nation has their own government for a reason, and every nation can speak for themselves. If they had a problem with being in the group, I think they would freely express. Nobody's forced to be in or leave the group. You join at your own will and you leave at your own will. And France, being a European country that is very well resourced, has been in positions to help some BRICS countries that have been in need before, however has failed to, and we have received support from our fellow BRICS members. So I think it's very unprofessional for you to speak in matters that you're just not involved in.
Australia, you're noted.
In this clash of opinions, we've noticed that Japan imports over 85% of its wheat, and it also has limited bread and focuses on
Australia, you're inaudible. Can you please?
I'm sorry. In this clash of opinions, we've noticed that Japan imports over 85% of its wheat, and it also has limited bread and focuses on rice farms. Australia can provide Japan with high-quality wheat for food production and wool for textiles, helping strengthen Japan's food and material security. Australia is a major exporter of liquefied natural gas and is developing green hydrogen, helping Japan reduce reliance on fossil fuels from unstable regions. Thank you.
France, you're noted.
Bonjour again. I would like to address the matter of the fact that France has the money to help, but then it is failing to do so. South Africa, Honorable, you are correct. France has the money, right? But we are also a country. We cannot give free outs. France is very much open to invest to any country. I do not think we have any law stating that a certain country is not permitted to ask for investments from France. So if you are asking for give outs and free outs, unfortunately, we are sorry, we cannot do that. We can give out investments and we can also gain something. I don't think you can open a business whereby you just give out the product. Thank you.
Argentina hasn't gotten a chance to speak, so Argentina.
Um, Good afternoon again. Since the Honorable from Indonesia stated that we must get back into context, now I can ask a relevant question. Given that the African Union's Agenda of 2063 prioritizes inclusive growth and sustainable development, what concrete mechanisms and financial commitments is the African Union willing to implement or strengthen to all urgently address the deep educational inequalities that are faced by rural communities, especially when these gaps directly undermine Africa's long-term development goals? Thank you.
Russia, you're noted.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Just to state a few things, just as we are back in context. In Russia, we have a federal law of innovation activities of 2006, which encourages integration of research and innovation in education, fostering collaboration between universities and industries. That is the reason why we are here. So for France to question whether we can actually do that or not, it shows instability. Now, the reason why we came here and we're suggesting that we are asking for support in terms of improving our STEM education and our practicality in terms of our teaching system. Yes, we are very much aware that our technology is outdated. That is why we came to the G20 to ask for assistance from developed countries. So we are asking for help while you guys are crushing us down. Just a point of order. And we are also asking from the African countries and also the African Union for them to support us in terms of mitigating or improving our agricultural systems and sector so that we may gain momentum and control of our agricultural sector, and in that way we'll be more developed and we will simply be trading simple things as skills for employment. That is from Russia, and by doing that we'll be also reducing climate change, which will then mitigate the conversation from what is other countries doing about blue economies and all of that to what actually are we facing as countries, and we'll be improving food security as a whole. Thank you.
China, you're noted.
Thank you, Excellency. I just wanted to first respond to Russia. Just to change the flow of this entire summit. Yes, we would love to help you and your prospects for this summit. And then I also wanted to make a note on the EU and their plans for climate change. Though there are things that we do disagree with on their plans for the European Green Deal, since the summit is used to find solutions, we are willing to go for further negotiations regarding their proposal for the European Green Deal. Thank you.
Saudi Arabia, you're noted.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I wanted to ask the African Union, seeing that they wanted to implement the STEM program in their countries, seeing that African Union is composed of undeveloped countries, how do they plan to introduce or implement the STEM programs in their countries without the external support? Thank you, Chair.
The United States.
Thank you, Chair. Just to track back to what Brazil said, when you say that France has no right to ask about something that they're not a part of, you are actually incorrect. Say for example, you guys have a weak military, and if you wanted to join NATO, obviously you would want to find out more information about NATO, how you're going to benefit. So you have every right to ask about NATO and even question the integrity of NATO. So you cannot say that another country is not allowed to ask about the integrity of something else that they're not a part of. Thank you very much, Chair.
Canada, you're noted.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. This question is for USA and the EU. So as Canada seeks to strengthen educational and digital partnerships with the European Union, especially through credentializing systems, youth mobility, and innovation funding, how can both the EU and United States help ensure that such collaboration is protected from future geopolitical disruptions, economic protectionism, or policy divergence that could jeopardize long-term impact on our youth? Thank you.
South Korea, you're noted.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to pose a question to China. So how can the two of us as countries expand bilateral cooperation in hydrogen and battery technologies and share that progress across the G20 to advance carbon neutrality? And would you as China join support a joint South Korea and China G20 task force on green industry investment with a focus on scaling eco-friendly manufacturing across Asia? Thank you.
South Korea, head of state.
Australia approached us saying that they would support us in our needs, and they wanted defense cooperation and trade agreements. Could you please elaborate on this proposal that you have given to us?
South Africa.
Firstly, I would just like to touch on what Saudi Arabia has said with their comments that Africa is made up of mainly underdeveloped countries, and of course the STEM training that the AU seeks to provide within Africa. I just wanted to say that it is true, Africa does have a lot of underdeveloped countries, but it's important to remember that South Africa is Africa's developed country by far, and being part of the AU blocks will actually assist us to work together to ensure that STEM training is accessible to all parts of Africa, meaning to say that this is not done in isolation, but it is important to note that we form part of a certain blocks, and that is the AU having similar objectives to ensure that STEM education is accessible in all parts of Africa to essentially contribute to a better workforce and the decrease in youth unemployment.
African Union, you're noted.
Thank you, Chair, for that. Would like to firstly speak to Saudi Arabia in terms of the idea that they proposed to the African Union. We don't think that's a viable question that you can ask, especially in this House at large. At the end of the day, we think that we are here to work together. One of the themes of the G20 is solidarity. We don't understand why you're going against this idea. But secondly, going to the idea on Russia, we think that is a great idea, sure. But not to diverge from everything that we are here for. We think it's important for us to understand that we need to get solutions for education and not tackle one another. Countries like the United Kingdom, countries like Saudi Arabia have looked into our ideas. Are there any other countries in this House who would like to benefit from this? Please engage.
Japan, you are noted.
Thank you, Speaker. I just wanted to respond to the Honourable from Australia. They said they're going to provide us with foods-related supplies. We just want them to elaborate on that matter by sending a letter over to the Japanese.
Properly take place. We've received letters stating that they would like us to support them in the green initiatives and vice versa. As we can see, this conversation is not going to go anywhere meaningful. Therefore, I'd like to tell everyone else to also give in your letters, since we can't say it openly on the floor. Thank you.
Unfortunately, I've received word that I have to close the session now. Are there any closing remarks from the heads of state from each country? Please let them be concise and brief as possible. India, you're noted.
Greetings, honorable delegates. So this question is directed to Russia. So India is one of the world's largest and most dynamic pools of STEM talents. Russia mentioned that That's what they're struggling with. But Russia's tech sector is under pressure, and this is believed to affect innovation speed. It could be risky for us as well. And also we have a high unemployment rate despite high STEM graduates. So if Russia can guarantee that they'll help us with our high unemployment rate, we'll consider an alliance. Thank you.
I've just received word that we have completely run out of time and we're behind schedule. So I would just like to note that when you're asked to give closing remarks, you can't ask for any further questions. You're just meant to give an evaluation of what the meeting has been for you. But I've been asked personally to give my remarks about the meeting today. I do think there was a lot of discourse regarding pertinent issues that each country faces in unions. However, I do think that there has been a lot of straying away from the topic that was initially discussed or meant to be discussed. And that's something that I would think is a very, very big disservice to your countries, especially if you're going to be representing them at such a grand level. I, as a chair, have done my absolute best to ensure that every single country gets at least 2 opportunities to speak. I don't think I've missed many countries. I also don't think it's a good reflection as a head of state or a delegate for your country to whine on an international enough chances to speak or respond. I don't think that's fair. You're on an international platform and you're expected to act professionally. Further than this, I hope that the following G20, after this, you would have learned how the actual procedure would go, and that scathing remarks aren't a very good reflection of your countries, and your countries don't deserve that. I'm exceptionally grateful to have been given this opportunity to host the Junior G20 Summit, and I would just like to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I thought it was fun, and I had a really great time. I hope you did too. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Mohanwe.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you have done an incredible job. Unfortunately, time is a friend to nobody. Yeah, I mean, we've got places to go, things to do, and yeah, we have been pressed for time. We do know that we started about an hour or so later, and I think you would have loved for the discussions to go further. You were not able to, yes, I know, right? You were not able to do your resolutions and such, but I think you guys have now created, a part of history that is, honestly speaking, worth documenting. Once again, give yourselves a round of applause. I'd like to call up Mr. Fumulani Nedididi from the City of Johannesburg to come and assist in handing out the various awards. These are small tokens of like commendations, and to I think, and especially how you have all presented yourselves today, Mr. Fumulani Nedididi. Let's give him a round of applause. We're going to start with commendations. Of course, Mr. President, you were not a competing delegate. However, you are the 10th commended speaker today because of the fact that you will have to come and give the awards and hand over the different awards together with the official from the City of Johannesburg. So can we give our first commended our first commendation to the President of the Republic of South Africa. Mr. President, please can you come down and receive your award? Let's give him a round of applause. Yes. Let's keep it up, please. Let's keep it until he gets here. Mr. President, well done. I think you chaired the session very, very well today. And I think also as the Mayor of the City of Johannesburg, I think you've represented the city quite well. Mr. President, I'm going to ask you to stay there, and I would like for you to sort of step to the, there you go, yes, so that, are you okay, ma'am? Perfect, okay. So we will start with the list of commendation. So could the following people who are being commended please approach the stage. These are delegates that are worth commendation this afternoon because of how they represented their countries and because of how they're able to read and perhaps in some areas interpret policy. We'll start with Kemisetso Muima. We'll call upon the President of Italia. Yes. Then we'll go to the Chairperson of the African Union. An African never be messed up. There you go. We'll go to Boitumelo Ramalepe. Up next is the President of China. Yeah, please, do you mind? Sure, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, anyway, just for the main picture. Then we would like to call upon Eric Maya. Let's give a round of applause to Joshua Lemenkis. Another round of applause for Mpumelelo Msipa. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause to Jude Hutting. Okay. Delegates, if you could please all look up there for a picture. Are we good? Media? Sims? We good for a picture? Yeah, oh yeah. Jude is not here. Where's Jude? He left. Thank you. I think we're good. Yes, we're good. Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. Up next, we've got the best delegation negotiators. Mr. President, please remain. The best delegation negotiators, we would have the delegation called Lesego Manchidi. The next delegate is Mia Wu. There you go. Up next is Unam Buyeye. Then we have Iviwe Khutwana. And last but not least, we've got Lisa Kanya Bungu. Can we give them all a round of applause, please? Delegates, if you could please just look up there. Okay, thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. Then the best delegation leaders, we have the top 5 delegation leaders. These are, of course, the heads of state. We'll start with the head of the European Union. These were based off of negotiating as well as the opening statements mostly. Then the head of Turkey. Let's give it up for the president of France. Let's give it up for the president of Japan. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, the president of, well, sorry, not the president of, but His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Okay. No, we're done, yes, ma'am. So can we please all look up there for a picture? Okay. We good? All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's give them all a round of applause. Well done. Thank you. Yes, yes. That brings us to the end of our awards. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great pleasure. Of course, there is no official closing statement, as this is an ongoing negotiation, but you are more than welcome to keep your placards. You're more than welcome to keep, I think just to keep them as a memento and so on. It is very, 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 very important that you do so. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Delegates, you may be dismissed. Thank you.
Excuse me, councillors, or not councillors, but delegates, let's ensure